Today, I'm with Gensource Potash CEO and President Mike Ferguson for the latest episode of RGN's Interviews in Lockdown. So, Mike, to what extent did the COVID-19 pandemic really strengthen Gensource's vision, which is to achieve food security through the production of a key macronutrient, but really in a sustainable way?
Yeah, I don't know if it's specifically to do with the COVID situation or not, but 2020 was certainly a year where we saw a lot of changes, and a lot of those changes were driven by people looking for equality and fairness, and those two desires match really well with where we're coming from. We're trying to create a new way of producing potash. As you say, it's a key macronutrient to the agricultural sector, in a way that is open, transparent, and we hope becomes more broadly available as a production method to create a more open supply chain for this nutrient.
Now, the company's ethos are really built around ESG, and this is almost unlike other miners where it's often an add-on. So, how has that accentuated Gensource's reputation in the investment market?
Well, we hope it's helped us. We have been able to achieve the goals we've had because our investors have supported us. There's no question. You can't achieve milestones without the support of your investor base. So that's been true to now, and it's my own view that part of that is absolutely the ESG focus that we have. It's fundamentally part of who we are.
Indeed. Now, looking at Gensource's project, first of all, how much of a game changer is the selective extraction method for the potash sector, which is, most projects usually leave an ugly long-term mark on the environment, and this is going to be markedly different.
Yeah, absolutely. You use the right words, game changer. We think it will absolutely change the way new capacity is added in the future, and it does so in a couple different ways. The first is the selective dissolution creates no tailings, requires no brine ponds on surface, and coincidentally is much cheaper to operate. It makes for a much lower cost facility. So it's nice when you can combine strong ESG footprint with strong economics. They run together in this case. The other aspect of it, though, is that because, as we're showing, you can scale these facilities down to a very manageable size. For instance, our projects are about 1/10 the size of a typical large-scale potash project. What it does is allows now the industry to track demand and to expand incrementally to meet demand in a very efficient, cost-efficient and time-efficient manner, and avoid these large-scale, we call them lumpy projects, right? When you show up with a 2 or 3 or 4 million ton per year project into a market that is only 65 million tons globally, those are big lumps of new production that the market has to deal with. So by adding small scale incremental production, I think we'll start to see a much smoother ramping up of supply to meet the demand side of things.
Yes. Now, the Tugaski project in Saskatchewan has really blown through the development pipeline, notably receiving automatic environmental approval. But has the project faced any sort of slowdowns or delays due to the situation of the last 12 months?
Yeah, it's fair to say, first off, we're in the financing process, working through the debt financing and the approval process for the export credit agency, or the Hermes, and none of that is stopped. It all carries on. But it certainly has slowed down. I think the business world in general has slowed down as people have transitioned to working from home, working over Zoom as we're doing here. And the various cycles of COVID over 2020 had people start to move back to office environments and then move back home again. So there's certainly been some inefficiencies in the system. So you'd have to agree, I think, that we're moving a bit slower than we would under ideal conditions, for sure. But things carry forward. Great support from our banking partners, our senior debt partners, and the whole process continues to progress.
Mm. And how important was it to secure the 100% of your production offtake deal with a company like Helm? And how does that correspond with Gensource's goal to be vertically integrated from mine to farmer?
Yeah, that's a really good point. The partnership with Helm is key to this entire project. So not only is Helm agreeing to an offtake agreement, a full take-or-pay offtake agreement for 100% of the product, but they've also committed to invest equity in the project. So that's what we were looking for. To obtain an offtake agreement is actually not all that difficult. You can obtain offtake agreements all over the place, but to find an offtaker who believes in the project enough to become an equity investor, to us that was key. So we now have perfect alignment, if you will, between the project and its marketing arm, and we see Helm, even though it's an external entity, as really the project's marketing arm. And they, with their infrastructure and customer base in the United States existing now, they have visibility straight through to the customer, and that's key. Besides the small scale efficient production, the other part of our business plan is all about this vertical integration and making sure that we have the most efficient supply chain from this Tegasky project in Saskatchewan to this identified market, with no other middlemen, if you want to call them, interveners in between. So Helm will take our product directly from mine site at Tegasky, and they will move it directly to the customer with no hub and spoke or reseller intervention at all. So it's much more efficient supply chain.
Yeah, definitely. How has the company really lent on technical expertise from contractors and partners in the Saskatchewan region, which is often labeled the potash capital of the world?
Yeah, it is. It's all things potash here in Saskatchewan. The technical team behind Gensource actually is largely the same technical team that was behind a previous company that developed the Legacy project, which K+S now owns and has constructed into the Bethune mine. And a lot of these ideas around small scale started within that technical team. So it's the technical or project team that has kind of developed that first small scale and efficient pillar of our business plan within Gensource. So we're of the view that our technical advisory team is the best in the world. There's no equal to the group that we have within Gensource helping to make this project a reality. And it's key. Clearly, the technical expertise and capability through project execution is key to the success of this.
Of course. Now, going back to the development pipeline, when do you expect to secure that final all-important financing agreement? And is the plan to move straight to construction as the project is shovel ready? You're just waiting on that funding.
Yes, it is. So we're working on aspects of the project now, working with our key vendors on procurement activities, starting to ramp up some engineering activities also, so that when the financing package is complete, the project is actually ready to start running. And and the mobilization part is complete at that point. We hope to reach a financial close in Q2 this year, and as soon as we do, we will be on the ground in construction because of the parallel work we have going on Project Ramp Up.
Yeah, well, that's something to look to in the short term. But looking longer term, how is the company going to approach the incremental development of new production modules in the region, but also in new locations around the world?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so our approach is always about market first. So as we identify a market that is interested in an efficient supply chain like we're offering, that's what sparks another module. The Tegasky project is set up to expand incrementally with additional modules. So as we work with Helm on the market side of things, we are hopeful that we will simply add modules at Tegasky. But you raise a good point that these methods also, and the small scale nature of them, start to make other smaller potash deposits around the world viable. Whereas in using past methods that kind of demanded a 2 million ton per year production minimum in order to make those methods economic, smaller scale resources around the world didn't make a lot of sense. So if we can, or not if, but we can, we believe, turn some small scale resources that are close to specific markets into viable producing assets close to those markets. And being close to market in the fertilizer world is a big thing, because a lot of the costs involved in the supply chain are around transportation and logistics. So the closer you can get to that market, the better off you are. So we're excited about the prospect of identifying and developing and putting into production these various, some known and some currently unknown resource locations around the world. It's an exciting prospect.
Very good. Mike, thanks for joining us for the latest episode of RGN Interviews in Lockdown.
Very good. I appreciate it. Thanks very much.